Welcome to the podcast, Medicine Untold, and come with me on a journey to the unexplored side of medicine, where we speak with rebel doctors, radical herbalists, unorthodox healers, and patients who have healed themselves. Explore the intersection between science and spirituality, and discover the power within you. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Berkland, licensed naturopathic doctor, botanical alchemist, and practicing physician. Hi, everyone. Welcome today. Today we have Sarah Jane Smith with us, a hypnotherapist, and I'm going to read a little bit about her background too before we get started. So Sarah Jane Smith is a quantum healing hypnotherapist, a psychic, and a medium that can tap into the past lives of her clients. Sarah is the founder of Quantum Hypno, located in the UK, and does online sessions around the world. She specializes in quantum healing hypnosis technique and beyond quantum healing. Sarah is an in-demand hypnotherapist with celebrities and millionaires from around the world. Her latest film, Escape the Matrix, has been officially selected by the Roma and Tokyo Short Film Festivals. So welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about I am a quantum healing hypnosis, or hypnotherapist, I was going to say hypnosis expert or hypnotherapist. It's quite a mouthful, and that's why we were trying to shorten it, but still get the idea in. So we just devised quantum hypno. So I founded quantum hypno because it's short and it's to the point. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's perfect. It is a mouthful, but it's impressive too. I mean, it captivates everything and kind of what you do with the
Yes.
quantum.
Yeah. And as soon as I say to people, when you're at parties or you're having conversations, when they say, "What do you do?" and I say, "Oh, here we go, I'm a hypnotherapist." Wow! And everybody's suddenly interested. They say the usual things like, "Could you make me into a chicken?" Or could you make me hand over my money? And it's all of these. Belief systems, or can do you do MK Ultra and do you do mind control? And actually, it's so simple. You know, um, we work with, let me just begin. I found Dolores Cannon about 6 years ago. Now I was following, I'm an athlete, I'm a swimmer and a runner, and I still love running, and I was following an African American Navy SEAL called David Goggins. So I remember one day looking him up on YouTube and typing in David Goggins, and it started saying Dolores Cannon, and I said, no, David Goggins. And it said again, "Do you mean Dolores Cannon?" And the third time I thought, this is ridiculous. So I started watching this video of this wonderful woman, Dolores Cannon. And immediately I said, that's it. That's it. I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, because it was the way she described her job. And she truly cared about people. I don't know whether you've ever seen a video of her work, but it was mind blowing. And I think at the time, also, when I discovered Dolores Cannon, I was getting very frustrated. I knew I couldn't find the answers on BBC or even, Discovery Channel. I wanted to know the truth. Look, who built the pyramids? Who was it? It's not good enough anymore. I wanted more and more and more answers. And I feel like I didn't find this job, or I call it a calling, it found me. So I remember thinking, this is me. This is me, because I want to really help clients. And I remember her talking about the fact, she talks about the superconscious, which she shortened to the SC, because everything in life is simple, Michelle. The answers are always simple. She called it the SC, or the clients call it the higher self, or the oversoul, or the universal energy. And Dolores started describing this energy that under hypnosis, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I work with people. It's very simple, how it comes through the client, and it shows you where the client's issues began. And it also gives them the answers to all the life questions that they've ever wanted. I asked them to come with 5 questions about their life and 5 questions about their body. And it also gives them instant healing. instant healing. And I remember thinking, this is amazing. I want to try this for myself. So I qualified. I did the first level of quantum healing hypnosis, and we had to advertise in the public for free. So I had all sorts of people answering my ads, and they came to my home. And I remember this one particular man I called Dave. I've written a book about this. So Dave was a former police officer, and he'd been in head-on collisions, accidents, everything. And he said that the surgeons had they'd done some work on his spine, and he couldn't actually move because they did great work, but he couldn't move the head, neck, or anything like that anymore. And he was actually getting he was working as a mechanic, and the fingers and the hands just didn't work anymore as they should do. And I thought that's quite strange. So they were given all this sort of diagnosis by the medical crowd. And I always ask a lot of questions, open questions. And he also said to me, now, I need to have keyhole surgery done on my knee because there's no cartilage. And he said, don't touch that because nobody can ever fix that. And I remember sitting there going, oh, I love these challenges when people say that can't be done. And I'm thinking there's always a way. There's always, never ever say nothing's impossible, because it's like Roger Bannister. He ran the 4 minute mile, I think 1952 in Helsinki. And everybody said that can't be done until somebody does it. And then everybody's doing it. So I had this man, Dave, up in my bedroom, and Dave started shaking, the body started shaking. And I said, is he okay? And this is what you and I were talking about before. How do you know who and what you're talking to, and the superconscious is coming through? Because he started talking about himself in the third person, and I call them they started saying to me, because I went to sort of say, look, he's my patient. Is he okay? He could have been having a fit. He was shaking. So looking after him, they told me, sit back down. He's fine. It was a different voice talking through this man. It was very authoritative, very firm, but protective of him as well. And I said, what's going on? And I said, he's been told that his spine has been fused together. He's broken all these vertebrae. And I said, is that true? And the voice came back through this man saying, no, it isn't true. It was the synapses or the neurons in the brain. They weren't actually passing down through the arms and the legs and the body anymore. So basically, that was why he was having a stiffness in his hands. And I said, what are you doing? I asked a lot of questions. And they said, we're rewiring the body. We're starting in the brain, we're rewiring the body. And he started becoming an expert on brain and synapses and all of this thing, the messages going all the way down to his feet. And then I said, well, and I thought, I can't believe what I'm seeing. The world needs to know about this. And then I said, well, his right knee, yes, that's fine. And I said, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're regrowing the cartilage in his knee. 10 minutes later, 10, 15 minutes later, they said, he's fine. He'll be fine. And he woke up and he said, I can't believe what's happened. I can't believe what you've just done. I said, I didn't do anything. I'm the facilitator. I just asked questions. And he said to me, emailed me about 6 months later. He keeps in touch with me regularly. He said, the knee's perfect. He's never needed surgery. And he said, the hands, everything, the body is working perfectly. And I remember, Michelle, the point is, I remember thinking, like I've just said, the world needs to know about this. I can't keep this a secret, because you should never be sick. This is another question you and I were discussing beforehand. The body should never be sick. However, how do your thoughts create illness in the body? Okay, we create illness. And the great thing is we create disease and we create illness because the body is giving you literal messages. It's telling you, the shoulders or the back is sore. Well, you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. If somebody's got a problem with their spine, I say, do you have enough support? And they say, I don't feel supported at all. I had a lady last night, she said, I'm nearsighted. I can't see far distances. And I said, are you afraid of the future, what you're going to see? And she said, well, yeah. Okay, we're creating all of these subconsciously. And what Dolores Cannon used to say is, if you've created those diseases, common sense will tell you you can uncreate them too. You can heal yourself. Now, what quantum healing hypnosis is, Dolores actually she's the one that actually started bringing this to the alternative world. But also Carl Jung, he said he found the superconscious talking through people, working through them as well. Now, Carl Jung was just, as far as I'm aware, exploring the mind and what is the connection. And, what happened was he started coming through this very distinct voice. It always sounds the same when they talk through the clients. And he said he was so freaked out because he didn't know what it was and he wasn't expecting it, that he never did hypnosis again because he was scared. Now, because of Dolores Cannon's explanations and her wonderful training, she explains correctly that this energy is a joy to work with. Even I feel it as well. I listen to people talking about their trauma and their lives for 1, 2, 3, 4, it could be 5 hours, Michelle, because we need to get to know each other and establish a rapport. So I listen to these people talking for hours about their lives and going through everything that happened. And this helps me to understand probably where they're going to go. Now, I never know. I don't actually take people, let's go to your childhood. Let's go. I don't know where to take them.
Mm.
But the force that we're working with, the higher self, the superconscious, it knows more about you than you know about yourself. It will take you to the most relevant place that the issue began, because we treat the cause of the issue. We don't just lie down and take everything away, even if you want to. I want to know why this happened to you, because I'm learning as well. And so what happens is it will take you to your childhood, or it will take you to a past life. It will take you to 1 or 2 or 3 past lives. Now, those past lives, I will always ask, how are they relative to her life or his life today? They won't show you something like, oh, well, she was living in the 1800s in London. Well, what is that going to do with her now? Nothing. It will always give you connection to those past lives and the current life that you're living now. And if people don't believe in past lives, that's fine. They're telling you a story about how those lives, somebody says, I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to talk because I'm not capable. I can't do it. They'll say, well, you did it before. You were leading people in this completely different life, in this different era, showing you've already done it. And people will say, I can't start a business. Well, they'll show you a life where you did and you were very successful. You've done all this before. And we bring those gifts and abilities into this life too. So they're showing you past lives. But also, people say, how do you know it's real? Okay, let me give you an example of how I know the past lives are real. I believe they are, because when somebody's going into a man or a woman in this other time and place, they identify completely with that character. They become that person. And when something emotional happens, maybe there's a death of a loved one or something so joyous and beautiful happening, they don't just cry, they sob from their soul. This isn't like, I lost a baby and there's no reaction. No, they're sobbing from their soul. They're crying and crying and crying. And I think this is also, that's proof that, something is happening with these people. Everybody cries. Everybody has this overwhelming amount of emotion. And also, I wonder if they're also releasing those people from those lives, they're releasing their trauma too. I've also found that people are releasing their ancestral trauma. I'll give you an example. Somebody might have said, a lot of them say, my mother treated me like this, and my father treated me like that. And I say, if they have children, how do you treat your children? And they say, well, I would never treat them the way I was treated. And they're learning. Why? Because they know how painful it is. If they say, my mother was a narcissist, my father was controlling, well, you don't do that to other people now, because you don't want to put people through that again. So we're actually healing ancestral trauma. And I say to people, would you be open also to whether they're alive or dead? It doesn't matter. Would you be open to the possibility of forgiving? Send your mother forgiveness or whoever it is, because you know what? That was the best they could do. We send them love and forgiveness, and I teach them how to do that. And I say to them, you don't need to say to their face, I don't recommend doing that at all. Michelle, I forgive you. I don't think that will go down well with a lot of people. You do it through your mind. You
Mhm.
say a few things to them through your mind. And also if somebody is passed and they passed away and they're on the spirit side, we send them forgiveness too. And then we find that you're putting down the backpack and the baggage and everything. And also people in the sessions, I find they have guilt. They feel a lot of guilt or remorse or sadness. We find out where they're storing that in the body, why. And I say to them, let it go, no matter. And they say, but she did this to me. And men say, she took my children and my money. And I say, but you're going to kill yourself. You're going to have a heart attack or you're going to create something. Let it go. And so we treat everybody with love and forgiveness, not sort of saying, oh my gosh, your ex-husband it sounds like a terrible man. That's not going to work. It's not going to help. And
Mhm.
we find out, I say to people, do you feel like you made a contract on the spirit side with your mother or your ex-husband or whatever? And there's always a pause and they always answer, yes, I did, 99% of the time. Okay, why did you make a contract? What did you make a contract to learn? And they'll say, well, he's teaching me patience and I tried to teach him spirituality or something like that. Did it work? And they'll usually say, as an empath, the people I get, they're highly sensitive people, they're empaths. They'll say, yeah, it worked for me, but not for him. And I say, that's his karma. Let it go. Let it go. You're here to offer your teaching and your help. And if they don't want it, that's fine. That's fine. Let it go. And I find that the majority of people I get, they're like me. They say they were very aware from an early age. They always say to me, like me, I never fit in. I don't know about you, Michelle. I never fit into this place. They try, even they
Mhm.
move country, they go places and they still don't fit in. And Dolores wrote a book called The Three Waves of Volunteers. I've just written a new book now called The New Wave of Volunteers because under hypnosis, we find out that these people have volunteered to come here to help. Now, what they have in common is, like I just said, they never fit in. They're highly sensitive people, probably like yourself, like me too. They say we have a voracious appetite for knowledge and learning. The place could almost be on fire, and you'll say, one more page, I'm onto something now. And we just never stop. And also, we are watchers and observer. We love people watching. We're learning all the time. And I find that under hypnosis, these people have said, oh, what was I thinking? I volunteered to come here. I volunteered to come here and help because Dolores wrote after 1945, the earth was in trouble. World War II had finished. And also, we were using atomic power for all the wrong reasons. And up there somewhere, they must have been looking down at us going, these kids are. They're going to blow themselves up. I don't know what's going on, but we need help. There is like a little bit like Star Trek, there is a prime directive of non-interference. Now, who are they? I'm talking about being ETs, whether you believe in them or not, it doesn't matter. Beings of consciousness, beings of light, everything. Now, they heard the call. Even people like us, we would have heard the call and we would have said, yes, we'll volunteer to come here and help. And they say on the spirit side, Michelle, you have your little plans wrapped up in your little box with your little ribbon, and you say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to change the world. And I say, I will too. We high five each other probably, and we're born. The problem is we don't remember why we've come here. And if we did remember, it probably wouldn't be a test. They say
Mhm.
life is a school, this earth is a school of learning, and we're going through all these tests. But anyway, they say that people like all of us, probably, we heard the call. Now, people say, where was I when I heard the call? Everybody originates from source, from God, from source, whatever you want to call it. We all come from there. But my question is, I ask different questions. Where were we? Where was I when I heard the call? And people say they had no body. They were being a consciousness. They were on another planet. They say, I'm blue, I'm green, I'm an ET. And they say, I heard the call. And I say, why did you come? And they say, because we love the humans. We love this planet and we came here to help. And I found under hypnosis, I've had between 1,500 and 1,600 people, Michelle. They all say the same thing. They say, I came here to volunteer to help people. Now, everybody's come here with different experiences. Like I already said, they don't fit in. They're highly sensitive people, but we all have a different point of attention. You have your point of attention, your experiences. You have your own gifts and abilities, and you're helping people with your work and just being you. Sometimes people say, what do I need to do to change the world? And the answer is just be yourself. It's your energy. It's beautiful, and you will affect everybody everywhere you go. But then other people, they say, well, you need to do, and they go, oh, I don't want to do public speaking, a bit like me. You need to go on stage. You need to do public speaking. You need to do interviews. You need to write books. And so we're all told, they're told in the session, this is what you're going to need to do. And so why do people come to me? We were talking about this earlier. They're at a junction or a crossroads in their life, and they're thinking, do I go this way? Do I go that way? Where do I go? And the majority of people, the number one question I'm asked is, why am I here? Why did I come here? This place, wherever we've come from or volunteered to come from, this is a heavy, heavy place for us. It's a heavy planet. We don't understand, the clients I get, they don't understand war, hatred, screaming, arguing, and violence. And we never get used to it as highly sensitive people. And so we're here to do anything we can to help people. And, you know, why are the answers coming now? All of the answers are coming out in the session now about who we are and what we're doing. I think it's the right time. I think this is, I don't know what you think. It's an amazing time to be alive. And there's been so much fear. There's been so much fear. Is there going to be a one world government? I ask for advice for the clients. I say, can you give Michelle a little bit of advice, last minute advice? And they say, yeah, be yourself, do what speak your mind, speak your truth. And I say, do you have any advice for humanity? And they say, there's not going to be a one world government. This isn't going to happen. Their plan isn't going to win. But you need to fight back even harder than ever. We know we're going to win because we're more powerful. But we also need, I explain it like this. The answers are very simple. All the answers in the session, they're very simple yet genius. And I say to people, Michelle, look, you and I could sit here for 10 years and psychoanalyze each other, for all of this amount of time, but we won't come up with the answers that they tell us in the session, because the answers are always simple. They're staring you in the face, but they're also genius as well. And that's why I find we do the session. That's the great thing about it, because you get the answers like that. And I always say to people, I record all of the hypnosis part. I don't record anything they say before the session. That's always private and confidential. And it's a bit like Dolores said. She said it's a bit like your mother confessor. And they're coming to you and they're saying to me, maybe I killed somebody, maybe I did this, I did that. They're telling me stuff that they've never ever told anybody before, because they need to say things out loud. People need to hear themselves talking, and they're unraveling things as they go and realizing, that the answers were always inside them anyway. We have all the answers anyway. We're never supposed to be ill, but it's remembering why are we here, and who we truly are. Because I find once you know who you are, everything else starts falling into place, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And what I see a lot with patients is, let's say they had like a childhood trauma, or they have this belief system about themselves, or it could be, related to their mother or their grandfather or something like that. And they see it, but
Mm.
they still can't release it, right? Or they can go to therapy and
Yes.
talk about it, but it's still in their subconscious, it's in their belief system. And the biggest question is, right, how can they release it from their body and from their mind long term? And that's where I think hypnosis is so powerful, right? Because
Mm.
they
Mm.
can go into that place and they can finally
Mm.
release it, rather than speaking about it again and again and seeing it, but taking that out and permanently removing it too. And that's where
I,
their
I totally
intelligence is.
I totally agree with you, Michelle. And I don't know what you think about the ego, the left brain. Now, the majority of my people I get, okay, because I say, what is your job? And when they say doctor, lawyer, surgeon, the left brain, okay, they're trained to be left brain, not like you. They don't ask questions like you do. You're absolutely brilliant. And I know that you're very spiritual. You're brilliant at what you do. But a lot of the teachers, I get military, SAS, CIA, you name it. Okay, they're trained to be
Mm-hmm.
left brain. And when I get SAS men, I'm like, we're going to have fun with this guy because they're not going to let go. And I just say, let go. You're wasting time. There's nothing, there's nothing to
Mm-hmm.
fear, but you can see them clinging on to dear life. Another question that you brilliantly asked as well is, why do we use hypnosis? Okay, that's simple. Let me just make it quite simple for people. You're turning down the left brain during hypnosis. It's not just lying down and talking on a sofa with a psychotherapist. No, we're turning down the chatter that I call it the matrix mind, and we're turning down the left brain enough because we need the speech. We need them still. It's a talking therapy. So we need them to talk and talk and talk and continue talking.
Mm-hmm.
And because we keep them continuously talking, you're putting yourself, I say, I don't put you into anything. I don't hypnotize you. You're doing it to yourself. And they're bringing themselves down. They're bringing, because you asked a brilliant question about theta as well. They're bringing
Mm-hmm.
themselves into this state of theta. What is theta? It's very, very easy to describe. It's the state that you go into before you fall asleep. Most people aren't aware or cognizant that they're seeing the images and the pictures and the symbols. That's all it is before you go into deep sleep, which is called delta. You're in theta again before you wake up. And I remember the dream and I was kissing somebody and it was great. And then it starts to just disappear. And then you think, I can't remember it anymore. That's theta. Theta is absolutely normal, and you're going into it every night and every morning. And people say, can I die under hypnosis? And I say, well, do you die before you wake up and before you fall asleep? No, clearly you don't. It's safe. Now, it also, you're always in control because I call them affectionately call them the controllers, but you're always in control. You can get up anytime you want. You will be very awake and aware and conscious. But I say to people, why are you trying to control the session? If you went to a masseuse, would you say, do it like this? Oh, hell, I'll do it myself. I say, no, let go, relax. And I say to people, allow and surrender, and it will happen. And it's a great way for people that like to control everything to learn to just let go and just have faith. And there is always a force, a universal force or an energy looking after you. And they feel it in their body. And I think one of the main things of the session, one of the main goals that we have is for them to feel how it is to connect with their higher self or superconscious. They actually really feel very conscious of that. And it's great because I say to them, look, I'll help you in just one session. In just one session. You don't need to depend on me or anybody else anymore. I'll always be here to answer your emails. If you need any help, I'll be here for you. But you don't need another session. You need just one session because they're showing you, they're giving you all the answers. They're giving you everything you need in that session. That's why they call people Reiki masters, or in my case, a quantum hypnosis master, because you help them in just one session. So if we were trying to fool people or make money, whatever, why would we say that's you don't need anymore? You only need to see me once. And I say to people, go over the recording over and over again because it has its own electromagnetic frequency just for you. I had a man, I'll give you a couple of examples as well. I had a man that lives in Miami. And he said to me, I have 1 week left to live. Why? Because I don't want to live anymore. My life is so terrible. It's awful. And I'm just going to drink myself to death. And he said after one session, he never drank again. He had the answers. He said, no, no. And he didn't tell me, but he said, I also want to make contact with ETs or with something with a collective consciousness. Now, he said to me, and I saw him under hypnosis, I said, what are you doing now? And his eyes and his eyelashes were flickering like this at a rate that is not humanly possible, Michelle. You know this as well. You've studied this. It's not humanly possible to do various movements with the eyes and flickering and the body and stuff. And he said also, he said he knew it was real because both of his parents are eye surgeons. He said that isn't humanly possible. And so he was going to drink himself to death. And after that session, he said life was just, he had all the answers. He got on with them. And he said he believes that he is connected to something much bigger than himself. So he invited me over to Florida to meet his wife and his children. And he said to me, I was in the boardroom with him. We were talking about marketing and stuff he's helping me with at the moment. And he said, I don't need another session. I don't need it ever again. I don't need to come back to you. And I thought, well, that's my job done, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, they always say like the best doctor has no patience, right? It's the same, it's the same thing
Yes,
when you really heal people and you teach
yes,
them to be, well on their own, and you give them those tools and you can clear it out. I mean,
yeah,
that's the best way. And I think
yes,
that
yeah,
says a
yeah.
lot too.
Yeah, because we want to move forward as humanity. We want to move forward and we want to go to the next level, don't we? You know, I mean, I think the Rockefellers, they were sort of saying in the early 1900s, is that right, Michelle? They were saying, oh, look, anything alternative is their quacks. Can't do homeopathy and you can't do Reiki. You can that's it's only medicine. It's only pharmaceutical medicine. But I wonder, what have we learned in the last 4 years? Okay, there was a deadly virus and it was going to kill everybody. But what does a virus mean? You know better than me, Michelle. It means a toxin or a poison. The cell is poisoned, but it's like, friends of mine wrote a really good book called What Really Makes You Ill, and they busted all of the virus myth. And they said, for example, if I was drunk and I came in and hugged you, would I make you drunk? Of course not. It's a bit like a virus. I can't give you a virus or anything like that. I don't know how you feel about that, but no, it's quite simple. But we trigger each other to detox. But it's not, we can't keep coughing on each other and giving each other stuff. And I don't know about you, I think I learned in the last 4 years how little we knew about viruses and the contagion myth and everything, but we learned that a lot of this is a lot of the, how the doctors were trained and the surgeons and stuff. We need to open our minds again to understand that we are all self-healing, you know?
Right. And I mean, I think the mindset during that time, the nocebo effect is so powerful,
That's
and
right.
that can, be explained in double-blind placebo-controlled studies and everything else the same way as the placebo, and that can affect 30% of the outcome of a study. So I mean, there's so many variables that go in there, but I think mindset throughout that whole time and how deeply it was fear-based. And, if a doctor
Yes,
says you're going to die in 3 months, a
we
lot of
will.
people will, even if they don't have the disease, which is, it's crazy. So I think, yeah, there was a lot of things going on there, and mindset had a huge, huge component during
Mm,
that time
mm,
too.
mm. They were using a fear campaign. And it was always on the BBC and CNN. I said to people, you won't have any fear. There won't be a virus if you switch your TV off. Now, I was chatting to you beforehand, and I remember in the middle of lockdown, I was just doing the dishes and stuff. I wasn't really working much. I wasn't really doing anything to, which I feel ashamed of to help anything or anybody. But I was just doing my own thing. I was looking after the kids. We were going out running and playgrounds. We were the only one in the village actually going out. I saw two army helicopters over us. They were probably thinking, who are those crazy people down there? We didn't do lockdowns. We didn't do the face nappies. We didn't do vaccines, nothing. We just went on and lived our lives. But I remember hearing this little voice in my mind saying, contact David Icke, middle of lockdown. And I said, what will I say? And there was no answer. And I took the laptop and I scrolled down to the very end and it said, advertise with us. And I thought, that's it. But everybody said to me, Michelle, everybody said, you're crazy. They're going to target you. We don't know if you're going to be locked up with your children and they're going to force vaccinate you, but you're putting your head above the parapet. We didn't know. And sometimes it's taking risks like that because I wanted to help people like you and like you do as well. You want to help people too. And I remember thinking, I'm not doing anything to help anybody. So surely taking a risk like that, possibly to my life or my family, it's worth it because I need to do something. I was aware that people were suffering, mentally suffering, physically during these lockdowns. And I said, no, I need to reach out. I just knew. And so I sort of risked everything, my career, my name, everything, going on David Icke. Best decision I ever made, because it only got me more clients and more work. And like I said in the beginning, Michelle, I believe these are all volunteers. They're all here to help
Hmm.
people. And I've helped, I hope I've helped between 15 and 1,600 people in the last few years. And they've given me feedback saying they're also affecting everybody that they come into contact to. And now they all
Right.
know why they're here. They've got their purpose and everything, and they have no fear. Sure, they have challenges, but it's different challenges. And they're all, it's like I say to people, it's like they've got their car MOT or their service. They've got their body and their life MOT or service done. They know exactly where they're going and what they're doing. And we're creating a network. It's almost like we're building a big army, a spiritual army, you know?
Hmm.
And the future, I'm always told the future is absolutely wonderful for us. So we need to kick back even harder. Why not?
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's such an important thing too, is to have everybody have that vision of the future, and and today too, how beautiful it is, no matter what the
Yeah.
situation, or during all those crazy years too, like how much beauty there was during that time too. And I personally enjoyed the quiet and the peace, and
Yeah.
took advantage
Yeah.
of that time a
Yeah.
lot. I always thought,
Yeah.
like, if
Yeah.
monks could go live in a cave for years on end and take advantage of that, I'm gonna go in nature and take advantage of it. So I think everything can
Yeah.
really be beautiful, and having people see that, and then find you during that time too, and go deeper into themselves, and
Yeah.
taking advantage of that time.
Yeah. I've learned so much. They don't just learn from me. And I like to teach people. I like to say to them, this is what we're going to do, and this is how it works, and teach people, as we're talking.
Hmm.
But I have to say, Michelle, I learn a lot from the clients myself too, because they all have their unique individual stories, and they've had their battles. And we it's almost like we sit and we laugh together and we cry together, and it's amazing how much I've learned. I've even had people, this was a mind-blowing story I need to tell you. I had a surgeon called Melanie, and she's a heart surgeon in New York now, very left brain, but she was really trying to embrace her spirituality. And she said, look, I did this job to help people, to truth. She loves people. And she said, I want to do a great job, but where do I go from here? And anyway, I had her under hypnosis, and she was crying and crying, crying. She said, this isn't real. I'm just speaking to myself, because you feel like you're making it all up. There was a pause there was a couple of seconds silence, which, it's all right to have just a few seconds. Then I keep them talking again. But when I was transcribing the tape later on, I heard something which I was not prepared for, because when Melanie was saying, I'm not, this isn't true, I'm talking to myself, it's not real, a voice came on the tape, and I still have the voice, I can send it to you. And it said, it was whispering, and it said, it's okay, we're here for you, we'll help you, you're not alone. And I remember thinking, what's going on? There's voices. It's like the voice phenomenon that was starting to happen in my tapes as well, and I recorded. And I'm thinking, where is this coming from as well? So it isn't just only the mind over matter; it's actual voices coming on the tape saying, "No, no, no, we're here to help you. You're not alone." And I'm thinking, what's
Hmm.
going on? And this lady, not only that, she was told, because of your cycle, you're going to have a hysterectomy. And I said, I don't think you should, but I'm not allowed to say anything for legal reasons. And she said to me, she didn't have her monthly cycle for 12 years. She rang me and she said 9 o'clock the next morning, it came back. No hysterectomy needed. So everything was unblocked. There was one
Hmm.
woman, another attorney. She wanted to do the millionaire's mindset. Now, she was a practicing attorney, but she was also selling artwork. She was in the art world. And she said, for the last year in the US, she had a couple saying, you sold me this and I'm not happy and we're going to sue you. So she said to me, we didn't work on that problem at all of her being sued. We worked on different things, but she said, I'm going to lose my home and I'm going to lose everything. And then I'm going to lose my marriage. And she was catastrophizing everything. And
Mhm.
basically, what happened was she phoned me about 9 o'clock the next morning. She said, you never guess what, they've dropped the case against me. They've dropped the case. And I said, why? And she said, we don't know, but for no reason. And they seem to be unblocking energetic blocks. Things that are really affecting you for no reason. But sometimes I feel in the session when you let it go, stuff starts happening. And then she said to me, not only that, she left a review. She said she made two very important sales while she was under, doing nothing, just floating out in space, enjoying herself. She was making money. And it's like, how does that work? I don't know. But clearly they know what you need. And sometimes they're saying that lesson is over. You've learned that lesson that you're going to be sued and you're going to be on it, and you're criticizing everything. And it's like, and all of a sudden, boom, the blocks are gone. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like amazing things. Another man said to me, he came and he said, look, the doctors say my heart is only working at 20%. So he was told, he was in the session, look, it doesn't have to be the higher self healing you. It could be any being of consciousness, being of light. We don't mind who it is as long as they're being helped. Some people have been on ships and they're being helped by reptilians and they're not liking that very much. They're scared. And I say it doesn't matter. This is the nearest person we're going to get. Their biological, they're amazing. Their knowledge on biology, let them heal you. And their body was healed. And this other man that said his heart was only functioning at 20%, he said he was being healed by greys and ETs. And I said, let them do it, let them do it. And 2 months later, he went back to the surgeon and they took a complete scan of the heart and they said, it's unbelievable. It's working at 100%. It must have been the pills that you were taking. He said, I stopped taking them a year ago. And they said, it wasn't Sarah. It wasn't that session. It's a miracle, but it wasn't her. So they couldn't believe that one
Mhm.
session of hypnotherapy, and even the doctors and surgeons said it's a miracle, it's working at 100%. So that is the power of your mind connecting with something higher. So it's
Right.
it's amazing. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's always like the ultimate paradox too. Like when you want something so bad or you push it, right? You push it away, and once you release it and you see why you were holding that on,
Yeah.
everything is in alignment. Whether it's like
Yes.
a woman desperately trying to get pregnant, obsessed with those
Yeah.
ideas, and once it's released in the same way, and she's at peace with exactly everything and the blocks removed, everything occurs. And
Mm.
it's amazing we can do that with hypnotherapy too. I know for me, I went to university for 14 years. And so I have this analytical side here that I have this spin. It's balancing that and
Yeah.
removing that when I need to. And yeah, and I feel like I went for too long. And and it's like a whole
Yeah.
battle trying to remove a lot of that thinking and that programming and
Yes.
finding the balance between the two. And I think,
Yeah. Yeah. But that was meant to be that you
mhm,
did amazing that you did 14 years. But what you'll find, it wasn't a waste of time because what you'll find is everything is like dot connecting.
right.
Everything you've done, Michelle, has value. Everything you've done has
Definitely,
value.
definitely.
We'll be picking up on, oh, I learned this and I learned that. So we need people like you. It isn't the Sarah Smith show. I always make jokes about that. No, do we need doctors? Yes, we do. The ones that question, like you, do we need surgeons? Yes, of course you do. Ones that question, do we need Reiki, homeopathy, me? Look, it's all of us together. It's not just me and it's not just
Exactly.
you. It's
Exactly.
all of us, vaxxed, unvaxxed, whatever, come over to the same side and unify. We all need each other.
Mhm.
Should me and the medical crew and everything be fighting? No, we should not be fighting. We're all on the same team. Come together. That's
Exactly.
really, really, really
Right.
important because we have the one goal, or we should have the one goal. That's helping people, and people will decide. Yes, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. And I think maybe we needed the last 4 years for people to truly, wipe the scales from their eyes and really see what's going on. Like you said, Michelle, that's brilliant the way you put it. You trust yourself. Forget about that. Trust yourself. We all had an intuition and a gut feeling and everything. We will get through this together. But I always said when I advertised on David Icke and other places and do interviews, let the people decide. They can choose me, or they can say, we don't like her. This isn't for us. That's fine. And then choose something or somebody else. But you should be questioning everything.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
All of us should be
yeah.
questioning.
And I get so many patients too that come in and say, like the doctor said statistically, this is going to happen in my illness or this, and they hold
Yeah,
on to it so deep
yeah,
and they own that. And then it goes into their body rather than listening to themselves and saying, is this right for me?
yeah.
And this is where I love hypnotherapy so much and recommending it to my patients is to release all of those things because they always ask me too. I'll be like, okay, well, we can see that there's an association here or there's a block here. And then the next part is how do we get rid of it? And so, yeah, it's a very
Yes.
powerful
Yeah,
tool.
yeah. And we found that we all know now that up until now they've been treating, the big pharma, the doctors, they've been treating the symptoms. And it's like, but what was the cause? And I say to
Mm-hmm.
people, somebody says, oh, I went in for this operation. And I say, okay, what caused that in the first place? And they say, we don't know. We're just going to have the symptoms. Okay, well, something else is going to happen to you now. Something else is probably going to happen to your body because the body is giving you messages. It's telling you,
Mm-hmm.
hello, we're trying to get through to you. And I remember Dolores saying, but why do you need to use pain when you're being given the message through your body? And they said, because you're not going to ignore pain. You're going to have to address whatever you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And they have very literal meanings. I used to have problems with my voice and my vocal cord, and they say, well, what truth are you not speaking? It's giving you literal messages. The hips are
Mm-hmm.
moving you forward in life. So that's what we need to pay attention to, and we need to find the answers to move forward.
And so do people come to you for specific like medical conditions too? I know they come in general or they want answers or routes to figure out where they're going in life and what's going on, but do they come from like specific conditions or different things as well?
Hmm. Everything, everything. People say I've got cancer, I've got problems with my lungs, and I say to the higher self, the superconscious, I say when we get to a certain point in the session, I say, can you do a full body scan, top of the head, down the body to the tip of the toes? And then they'll say, oh, her kidney isn't working at optimum. They'll find so suddenly people are, qualified surgeons in their own session. They're saying, yes, yes, yes. And I say to the force that we're working with through the client, I say, how can you help? Can you help them? And I say, but why has it happened? And they'll tell the client the reason. And then I'll say, well, can you help them? And they'll say, yes, we're going to put energy in the body, energy in that organ. They'll use light, they'll use energy. It's always natural. And I actually sometimes think I can see these lights coming down into the body. I actually see people leaving their body too, which is quite interesting. Um, Also, people have been saying to me lately, there's another thing, another phenomenon that started happening. The last almost 15 clients in a row, they started seeing the same city, looking the same way, with the same color, as the same path going up to it. It looked a little bit like the Wizard of Oz. And they started seeing a particular color of a gem. And when I said, what does that mean? What is all this for? They told me the same thing. Let's say, for example, they said that's for love. The meaning is love. And they're all saying the same thing in the same way with the same words. And I'm thinking, how can almost 15 people in a row be seeing the same thing? Because it's the same force coming through all of them. And when I see 15 people in a row saying the same things in the same way with the same words, the same meaning, for me, that's evidence, that's empirical evidence. And I'm wondering how many more are going to see the same thing too. So I feel like Dolores was that I'm being given a big jigsaw. And it's almost like each client are a piece of the jigsaw. And they are, not only is it specific answers and healing for them, but they're giving me messages too to put in another book. And I have material now for probably 3 books. There's so much, but they're telling me that this is the future we're going to have, and they're all seeing it in the same way. I just don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, because I want to see how many more are seeing the same thing. And they're telling me that this particular gem and color and stone is very important for what we're doing, the answers and the healing and the work. So how can they all be seeing and saying the same thing? It blows my mind as well. And I have it all on the recordings as well as proof. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it blows their mind too, because everybody wakes up and says, I made that all up. And I say, yeah, you and the other 15 made it all up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
At that
it's
point,
not
yeah, it's too
possible.
hard to
Yeah.
argue. Hmm.
It's not possible. So the things that I'm the common denominator in with all of this work, with all of this information, and it's just blowing my mind. And I sit and I
Hmm.
smile and I go, we're onto something here. It's just proving to me that this is all real and it is all really happening. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, amazing.
Yeah, you really do some powerful work.
They say it isn't really me doing it. I think I always point up, I say it's them.
Hmm.
Okay. I don't give anybody advice or answers. I'll give you anecdotal stories about myself, but you're not here to get advice from me. I can't tell you what they're going to tell you. It's mind blowing. I could never come up with that. It blows my mind when I hear it too. Um, but they've said that they will only work with specific people. They know your intention. They know my intention towards you. They know that I'm not trying to do this for fame or fortune or success, anything like that. I'm genuinely trying to help people. So they will work with, hopefully people like me, because they know I really, really, really love all the clients and the people I work with. And I really want a result for them, almost more than they wanted. And I will get a result. I will keep working for them all day long. And I say to people, I'm not like other professionals. I cannot finish that session in 3 to 4 hours. I can't. It might take me 8 or 9 or 10 hours. That's because people need to talk a lot about their life. But I say to people, I'll offer you unlimited hours on the day of the session, because I focus only on one client a day. That's how I work. And that's how my sessions, all of them are a success, all of them work. And people say, will I go under? I never did before. Yes, everybody goes. Why? Because you're putting yourself under. I see people, their eyes are beginning to go, and I say, you're putting yourself under. And they say, yeah, I'm ready to lie down if I do them over Zoom. If I have a lot of clients in America, Australia, there's a woman flying over from Taiwan next week, like 20 hours, something like that. She's flying in. So for
Wow.
people, it is, since they've seen me on David Icke, it is extremely important. And they want to come and physically see me face to face as well. And I always joke with people, because the people I meet from, that watch David Icke, they're highly conscious, highly intelligent people. And I always say, look, I wouldn't have lasted 3 days on David Icke, never mind 3 years, because the feedback and the reviews and everything I'm getting it's mind blowing and it's life changing. And I'm very humbled and grateful to people for that. But the other thing is, I had almost 180. I was talking to Dr. Ryan Cole the other day. He's an amazing doctor. And somebody said, he's got 100 and you've only got 80. And I said, no, I had 180 Google reviews, but they've taken down 100 of my reviews. Why? Because some of the reviews have been by doctors and surgeons, and they've said, I'm a doctor and this is mind blowing. I am a surgeon. It's changed my life forever. And
Hmm.
boom, it's gone. It's gone. And Google said, it isn't us, it's the algorithm, it's AI. So why are they taking down hundreds of my reviews? I must be doing something right. But I copy and
Hmm.
paste them anyway, and I keep them.
Good.
So that doesn't bother me. I just smile and
Hmm.
I think, well, whatever I'm doing is threatening somebody somewhere. So I think it's a good sign. If
Hmm.
you're not annoying somebody somewhere, then you're doing something wrong.
Right, right. Yeah, I think when you polarize and you get people to feel a certain way, then you initiate that response too. And yeah, that means that something's moving,
Yeah,
something's
yeah, yeah.
changing.
yeah, we're upsetting somebody somewhere. But
Hmm.
I'm not naive, Michelle. I knew when I first started advertising on David, like I thought to myself, the majority of people are gonna, hopefully they'll like it and they'll want it, but you'll always get the naysayers saying, she's lying, she's, it's not true, it's whatever. And I still
Hmm.
get like the hit pieces written saying, no,
Hmm.
no, 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 you can't help people in one session. No, you can't help people in one session, but I do. So
Hmm. Hmm.
there you go. How can you say that you know everything? I don't think I know everything. Socrates says wisdom is knowing how little we know. I don't know everything. I'm learning every day. But the
Hmm.
thing is, I don't give up on people. I work with them for the whole day till I get a result. That's the best I can do. I bring my A game to every single session, just like you do.
And you see people around the world like through Zoom. So how you and I are seeing each other today, you can
Yeah,
do sessions and
yeah,
you can go
yeah,
hours and hours working with them this way as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I get up. I used to do shift work anyway. I'll get up at 5 in the morning if it's somebody in Australia because of the difference in time zones. I get up. I have people in Alaska and Canada and the USA. I only deal with one person a day, so I say, yeah, I'll work with you till a maximum 1 in the morning. Why? Because I need to be fresh. I need to be focused. I don't want to work too late, but I'll get up early in the morning and I will adjust to that person's time zone, no problem. Whereas I know other professionals, they say it's 11 a.m. London time or nothing. I don't want to do that because I don't want to say to people, it's 2 a.m. your time. I think they're going to fall asleep. They're going to be too tired. So I say, well, why don't we compromise? It's this time my zone and it's that time your zone. And yeah, that's perfect for both of us. So I will
Hmm.
do anytime people want. I used to joke, anyone, anywhere, anytime, I will help you. No problem. Yeah. That's my modus operandi. I'm here to help. I won't say no to anybody, you know?
Which is great too. Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people need help and there's a lot of tough cases and things that maybe other hypnotherapists wouldn't want to take on. So I think and just holding your energy all day for one person is a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I get, it's almost like the splashback of this, the energy and the joy and the happiness. So why wouldn't I? I'm the luckiest person in the world with the best job because it's actually impacting me too. I get the happiness and the joy and the love, and just seeing those people wake up and look like different people. And I always think they look like they're about 10 or 20 years younger as well. They look refreshed and awake and they're happy. They've got the answers.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think yeah, there's so hypnosis is endless of what it can do. Like for me, it's helped me in so many different ways of removing different beliefs, and I can target it in and figure out what I need to have removed. And I can either try it through meditation and different practices, but if I can't remove it, or if it's something very clear, I think like especially for me, hypnosis has done wonders for things like that as well. So I'm so thankful you could come on today and talk to us about it.
Oh, I'm very grateful to meet you too. Yeah, finally, because you have a wonderful story.
Mm.
I was
Oh,
reading your
thank you.
bio and it's beautiful. It's amazing. You're a wonderful human being. Yeah, I'm very grateful for
Oh,
you
thank
too.
you. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming on today so much, Sarah. And we'll be sure to put all of your information posted on my website and the podcast too, so they can find you and everybody can help remove their own blockages and get closer to themselves as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Looking forward to hearing from everybody.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.